I can't even close my hands. Welcome back. Welcome back to a new episode. Damn. Episode 40. You know what I'm saying? Episode 40 on Wind Down Wednesday. Not Wind Down Wednesday. Friday. Rolling with Ace, you know what I'm saying? We about to get into it, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can just go ahead and roll y'all shit up and shit like that. Motherfuckers is fried and drunk and on a whole nother solar system right now. So go ahead and roll y'all shit up. I'm gonna turn this music up for y'all. And don't pay attention to our conversation. We'll bring it to y'all in a few minutes. But go ahead and roll y'all shit up. She told me, she said a couple hours, but I'm trying to wait till, well, it's been about 6-7 hours. I might unwrap it now, but I don't think they're going to set up. She told me 24 hours to get in the shower. I'm just going to leave the wrap till I get out of the shower. I know when the praise, I got a beautician that's listening to fake and just pay attention. Bitch, I'm a real nigga. I never these niggas like me. I know that's what's up. That situation is supposed to weird. These niggas don't listen to me. I'm on the ass in the kitchen. I used to learn from my dad. Permission, my teachers in school always told me I'm gifted. Bitch, we're repetition. We're gonna probably even continue that conversation, or we're gonna talk about this shit.
No, I'm saying Friday or Sunday.
Friday.
That was out the recording. Huh?
Who ready to argue that from the lose?
It's not
To
an
argue?
argument, it's a
Bro,
conversation.
you like arguing? Yes. That's perfect, because I used to like to argue and then I stopped.
Y'all need to be on a debate team or something.
No, bro. I used to be the same way. I said what I said, and I'm gonna continue to say what I said because I said what I said. But at the end of the day, I'm getting tired of saying what I said.
I'm not. I'm gonna hit you with passive way, right? I'm gonna leave with passive aggression.
What's your sign?
Scorpio.
I'm gonna leave with passive aggression.
Yes.
This is how it works. This is how it works. Let me explain it to you.
You wanna know?
No.
I've never encountered this.
Let me show you some girls. Let me show you passive aggression.
Now they like hold up, blow up, woman came from not a smoking guap, a lot of problems ain't a thing.
Let's say me and Dave is just
I done seen a lot of things, good and bad, but we gon' give it as a real. That's necessary hustle, I proceed.
We're outward. Like, we're outward.
Oh, it's not. I've been A1 since day one, it's yours truly, so St. Louis in my heart.
That was 2 weekends ago.
That was 2 weekends ago.
My intuition knows when it is, and then I dismiss them.
No.
But I ain't perfect. From that, I'm steady learning. Trying to earn my stripes, can only be seen me like this jersey. And give my all every time I step out and let the earth see. It's cold-blooded till I'm gone. I know you heard me. It's all me. Yours truly, I gave my yes. It was the last time, no chance for another call. You know it's all me. Yours truly until I fall. Every last time, it's some never care. You know it's all me. Yours truly, got my y'all. Cause when it's said and done, and I can't shit anymore. Just know it's all me. Just do what you love, do what you want, and reminisce it.
Like at the end of the day, at any moment, anything can happen and I need to be at work. Today, when we left, I needed to be at work 20 minutes before that. So it's just like I be stressing so much about time and nobody else gives a fuck. So for me, I'm gonna be passive aggressive with you. And I'm sorry, Malcolm, for you. So for me, I'm gonna be passive aggressive with you. What that means is I'm gonna make sure you understand that at the end of the day, my time matters. And every time today, when I went to go pick up Davey and I'm at work, she was like, she entered the car and she's like, I'm sorry, I'll take Ellis. Because she already know that at the end of the day, my time is valuable. She wouldn't understand that if I don't play my part.
Alright, so you ready to get into today's conversation, bro?
Whatever you with.
We are into it.
we might do a whole nother conversation because y'all didn't argue that point enough. But anyway, welcome back, you know what I'm saying? Before we get into any of that, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna be background noise. Let them finish that conversation. But what you reading on, you know what I'm saying? We still reading on the same book. Hold on. I got it for y'all. Faster, smarter, cheaper, you know what I'm saying? We gonna this is gonna carry us to the problems land, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna read it chapter by chapter, dissect it, you know what I'm saying? So this is gonna be what we reading on for the most of the points. So yeah, so we get into that. But anyway, today's conversation, we might get into a little bit about the black community, Barack Obama. Hold on, I got some other points because I was gonna do it on Wednesday, but it ain't work. The black community, Deion Sanders, Barack Obama, why everyone needs a superhero, and then we're gonna wrap it up with Sarah Bartman, Serge. So, you know what I'm saying? So, we finna get into a conversation. They get into it. So, I'm gonna talk. You're gonna see me mostly. I'm not gonna put them on camera. And then we're gonna get into it, you know what I'm saying? So,
my time matters so much more than it do, and so many people don't understand that because they live in my life in the past tense where my time didn't matter. So, like, for me, I gotta stress and emphasize how much my time really does matter, and this is why I have to do what I have to do. And that's one thing where I'm not gonna give up on.
So that's where my point comes in. If you're explaining to people that your time matters, you accept what you allow. So if you're
alright, fuck all that. We done on the personal level. Fuck all that shit. We gonna do this as a community thing now.
Alright,
this is the first question, you know what I'm saying? So, what do y'all agree with Barack Obama's presidency? Disagree or agree?
Man, there's no way you think I'm in politics.
Wait,
hour.
we're just asking about his presidency. What his
It's
presidency?
not. Yeah.
I
So,
don't really know.
how did y'all feel about his presidency and what he did?
I was a little young.
No, listen.
Look.
I'm about to give you a real example. I mean, a real response. I didn't really know much about his presidency because I was young, and I also feel like me being the age I am now and knowing much about Trump and Biden's is a problem because when you don't know something, does that mean that it's not really much of a problem?
Alright.
No.
Baby, what's your answer?
Is it like a question?
We gonna debate. This is a conversation.
I was a little young when Obama was the president, but as far as from like what people have been saying, I've been hearing a whole bunch of stuff. Like I've been hearing he actually wasn't a very good president. Like I remember it saying that like he like bombed Iraq or something, like or some shit. Like I don't know. Like
So just
like,
overall, how do you feel about it? From what you heard and what you witnessed.
overall, I feel like people say that Obama was a good president. He's the first black president, yada yada yada. But what did he really do?
Alright, yeah. So, alright, that question. So remember that question. Remember your question. Alright.
Okay.
I think for me, when I like heard about Barack Obama, we were like 8 years old, and this is like historic moment. So it's like this is the first time we see a black president in like
2007.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So like I'm young as fuck. We at Steve like type shit. So it's like this is where my life is right now. I'm ready to see a black man win. Like that's just how I was raised. So once he win, I'm on his side. 2 years go by. And it was like, I forgot what he was famous for. It was either Osama bin Laden being killed or something like that. Because the night that Osama bin Laden was killed, yeah, I gotta remember, Barack Obama that next morning was like, yo, and like he just hopped on the mic and he was like, this is what we did. We killed the fuck out of that nigga. Like, exactly, bro. Like, and it was like the first time, it was the first time we ever seen a president do that shit, bro. So it was like, for me, at that moment, I remember that shit vividly only because mama and dad used to have parties for that shit. And I remember getting hot sauce on the fucking Wii controller. Okay. So like I'm like shit like that. But like for me, I would say Barack Obama was maybe a 7 out of 10 because like I never heard bad about him. But every time it was something good, it was definitely prophesized.
Right.
Like it was the first black
So do
president.
you have a question about his presidency?
I do not. I want to live in my false dreams. Can I?
Alright, so
Okay, can I say something?
what's up?
I feel like all of our answers circled around the fact that we were all young as fuck. So our opinion or like memory of Barack don't really count.
But this is the thing.
Like this is
But this is the thing though. So what Martin, like this just an example. So what Martin Luther King did in the 60s affect us now. So what Obama did in the 2000s, the early 2000s, well, it's in 2008, 2007, 2008, 2009. So what he did in those 2 years, the first 2 years he was in office, affects us to this day. You know what I'm saying? So you might not know what he did in his presidency because we was all so young, but you gotta look at and reflect on the type of policies that we have now. You saying we got Trump, we got Biden now, and y'all know more about that presidency than y'all know about Obama. For one, y'all know what everybody knows. Joe Biden was vice president to Obama for 2 years in a row, 2 consecutive terms in a row, right?
Yeah, I do know that, but it's
All
not
right.
a fake memory.
But that's what I'm saying. You know that. You know of that. Your parents know of that. So if you know of that, you know what I'm saying, you know what comes with those stipulations and returns. His whole first campaign, what was Joe Biden's whole campaign? We gonna give what to who? You know what I'm saying? We gonna do reparations, we gonna do this, and that. What the fuck turned around and happened?
I really feel like
We ain't get
nobody.
shit.
No.
Who got shit though?
No, I really
The
feel like
motherfucking white people.
But
black
not
people-
just for white people.
Black people.
Who was his main target? In the first 3 years when he got into the first 2 years, 2020 and 2021, what was the first 2 things he did?
He changed the tax bracket for what the rich stay rich. That was the first thing he did.
I've never
Man.
noticed that. What year was that?
No,
That was 2020.
You got it.
2020 was his presidency. 2021 he got into the office. So think about it.
Okay, no, this
So
is
in
what
your
I'm trying
mind-
to say. Nobody really considers politics until they are of the age when they're able to vote.
Yeah,
I really
but
feel
actually
like
affects
it's not really pushed. At least in my school, I really feel like politics was not pushed.
Let's move
how
on to
it
a different
should've been
conversation.
when I was younger. Like that's how the right stuff that needs to be pushed is not pushed in schools. All they push is poverty and a little bit. I don't think I really had an economy class. My only economy class was a special class, like 30 minutes for one semester.
Did you
That's
have a
it.
world history?
Huh?
Did
Yeah,
you
I had a
have a
history class, but all they talked about was the same thing. 9/11, the Jews, and
Yo, do nows wasn't like about current events enough?
Do now.
no, not for
Y'all ain't
real.
gotta do now?
All they talked about in high school, it really ties
college?
into.
No. You didn't even take a history class in college. I'm
We
saying
talk about
high
like like when
In high school, no,
High
I
school,
still have
middle
when I was
school.
in high school.
You didn't. Miss Metropolis gave you do nows. Like, there's no way you gonna sit up here and say that.
Do
We take
nows?
Do nows. Like, when you first walk into class, like, that's the first thing that's on the board that we gotta do before the class starts.
yeah, not all the schools do that. That's what I'm
Nigga,
saying.
my point is, we went to the same school and I
Yeah,
saw
but
him
I
do
took
now. Like, what is your
Metropolis.
point?
I took Metropolis a year before you did though.
Alright, so what was your point to write
That
this
not
all?
everything is taught the same way.
Metropolis,
So
no, I took
and
Metropolis.
then it's also like an
So why you
age gap.
taking
Like
before me?
when
I took
you're
it freshman
young,
year.
I took it.
well,
I
when
had
you were
Metropolis
young,
before
because
you.
you're
My,
still
no.
young.
Metropolis was my
I
freshman
would say
and
you
sophomore
like
year.
both.
So
You
how did
are
you have
very
it? How did you have
educated
it
on a lot
before
of
me?
history. But did most of that come from your schooling, or did that come from
Okay,
your
okay.
interest,
If you had a freshman year, there's literally
like
no way.
outside of school, like your teacher
My
was
That's
freshman
all-
year was
class?
that's
down.
self-fulfilling.
I remember because
But-
Self-fulfilling, but
get
we're
I
not
know
done.
I have a
Self-fulfillment.
freshman year.
That's the whole thing. I didn't get that shit in school.
Okay, you may
Second
not have
semester.
gotten it from school, but not everybody has what you
That's what I'm saying. We gonna move on from this conversation because it don't make no sense to speak on
But
something
this
that
is
y'all
something
don't know.
that needs to be talked about because it's a real issue, even though self-fulfillment.
You can't
is
talk
really-
about it if you don't know about it, if you don't
Okay.
have the research for it.
But what I'm saying is, even though not everybody has self-fulfillment that you have, the schooling is a real issue. From what I have seen nowadays, that like Davia, have you seen on TikTok or like Instagram or anything that 8th graders now are reading at like a kindergarten level or something like that?
Yes.
Like schooling in
Yes,
school is a
especially
real
after
issue.
COVID.
And the fact that I don't really know anything about Obama's presidency, that's a genuine problem.
So
because I feel
where do you
like-
want this
I
conversation
feel like
to go?
I was 6. It needs to be a change in what is going on in our current day. We talk about what's going on in the past all the time. We don't never talk about what's going on in the current. That is a problem.
And how
I'm
our
19
past
years
affects
old.
what's going on right
I'm
now.
19 years old and I don't know nothing about what Biden did in his presidency for real. I may have known about him and Osama bin Laden because of the movie that was released on Netflix, but that's a problem because why do I only know about that from TV, from entertainment? Why wasn't I
Did you see that?
taught that in school?
So
when it
do you
should have
want?
been taught?
So do you want to move on to the reason why schools are set up like that, or do you want to continue with the conversation? Which one you want to move on to?
Yeah, go ahead and explain why schools are set up like that.
It's the brainwash you, bro.
This is the whole thing.
Brainwash.
This is the whole thing. What is a social security number, a birth certificate, and your job number all having in common?
A fucking number to put you on.
It's a fucking number.
Yeah.
How many numbers though?
Like
9 digits. Your social security is 9 digits. Your birth certificate is 9 digits. And when you go to work, you
How
put
much is
in
your
9
phone
digits. Your phone number is like 9, 10 digits. 334.
Does
Right.
that tie
334,
into-
that's 12. That doesn't tie into anything. But
I'm just curious.
so in school, what do you do when you get in school? When y'all went to high school, what did y'all get?
Like lunch code.
Y'all got a lunch code and what's the other thing?
ID number.
An ID number. So you get an ID number and a lunch code, right?
But
In
high
prison, you get an ID number and you get a lunch code. Really, it's really the same thing because that's how they keep track of all the inmates, and then that's how they tally up their taxes and boom, boom, send it to all of us. In the free world, we pay these motherfuckers to stay alive in these prisons. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's how they work. So if I'm getting, you go to high school, you go to high school, you go to high school. I only made 10 grand off y'all because y'all went to public school. I went to private school. So just for example, y'all only made 10 grand all the way up to y'all got to y'all diploma. You went to a smaller school, so y'all was on like the shorter end of 10 grand a piece. So y'all 20 grand. You went to a more public school, more grander school of 1,000 students. I made at least about 20, 25 grand off of you all 4 years of your high school. So I done made 20 grand off of y'all two and 25 grand off of y'all two. Is it easier for me to put y'all in prison or put y'all to work in my corporation? No, think about
Well,
it.
for us two, it's for prison. But if you got 25 off of her, it's easy for the corporate.
Exactly. If I can put you two in prison and make double off what I made y'all in high school, and I put you in corporation and make triple off what I made off you in high school, what do I come up with? I come up with 40, 50 grand a piece for them, and I come up with at least 100 grand for you, including inflation. So if I can manipulate you into learning and reading and only maintaining your level, and I'm slowly breaking down the generations behind y'all, we don't learn cursive no more. We don't know fast math. We don't know times table. We don't know how to manipulate anything fastly, mentally, real quick. If I can't teach that to motherfuckers below y'all are setting up examples for who? Them motherfuckers.
But you know, that goes back to like, you remember when we was doing math and it was like right after we learned how to do long multiplication, they came out with that method where you could do tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
I saw on TikTok that it showed it was like only 64% like effective. Like it's only right 64% of the time.
But like I said,
That's what I'm saying. It's setting up failures.
but
for
that's
next
what I'm saying.
generation.
So you seen it on what? TikTok. You look at what? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok daily. You look at
Only Instagram and TikTok.
Instagram and TikTok, whatever. You look at Facebook for bullshit. You look at
Yeah.
Instagram, TikTok,
Same
right?
bullshit.
You get most of your
Same
entertainment from the
bullshit.
same way. So if I can manipulate y'all into learning social media, I'll let y'all learn social media. We was the last ones. We was the first ones that caught on to Facebook and being on Instagram, being on social media, shit like that. Kick all that shit. I send y'all right behind me. Right. This is a corporation speaking. I send y'all right behind me. I send y'all through elementary, high school. I make her drop out of college, whatever. She in debt to the government. The government owe me off rip. You know what I'm saying? This is a corporation speaking. I'm letting. This is how the real game works. She dropped out of school, right? She owes student loans. Them student loans don't go back to the fucking government. That government owe money on top of them student loans they lend her. She paid them back. They paid the motherfuckers back that own this shit.
Right.
Y'all too. I sent you to trade school, right? You paid 40 out of pocket. I done made 40 grand off your ass, even though you spent 20 grand with me. I made 40 grand off of you. I spent 20 grand. That's how you gotta think about this shit. Baby, you in school. You in one of the top schools in the fucking country. Guess who run that shit? The Jews run that shit. It's a Jesuit school, right? The Jews run that shit. The Jews make hand over fist for every student they bring through that motherfucker. Let's say I got 40,000 students. If 40,000 students paying 100,000, 40,000, let's just say 50,000 a year. They pay $50,000 a year for 4 years. That's 200 grand. 200 grand. The Jews just made 100 grand off every student tax free, and that's before they do all the other little shit, room and board, all that shit. They done made 100 grand off of every student that graduated. Mind you, you still gotta pay your dues to the feds, and you still gotta pay your dues to Uncle Sam. You got taxes and you got the feds knocking at your door 6 months later after you got a degree. Yeah, the motherfuckers crazy. So like I'm saying, so at the end of the day, the system and what y'all talking about is all based off of corporation. At the end of the day, corporations rule this country. So whether you like it or not, you paying your corporation to the feds, which is the government, Washington D.C., Joe Biden, all that shit. They make money off of that shit. The more people they can enslave to that system, they gonna keep doing it. Then from there, student loans. You pay it back to the Federal Reserve, but the Federal Reserve ain't owned by nothing but 13 bankers out of the whole fucking world. And most of them bankers are what? Families. Those 13 families take that shit and put it back into their family. So at the end of the day,
so money hungry.
the reason why you don't know certain shit and who did what in their presidency is for the lack of ignorance. Because they don't want you to trace that dollar sign back to their ass. Because if you trace that shit back to them, then you know how all this shit's supposed to play out. It ain't nothing but a script. All right, welcome back. You know what I'm saying? Welcome back to the conversation. You know what I'm saying? So we did leave off about explaining the whole corporation shit situation down. You know what I'm saying? We'll get more into that. We're gonna go back to them topics. We'll go back next week when everybody is not here about it. You know what I'm saying? Because we can talk more about it, you know, once you learn the history about it. But the one thing I do want to pull up before we get deeper into that conversation about corporations is, my main question is, and this is my question to all of you guys, why do everybody wants a superhero to save them instead of saving themselves? You know what I'm saying? I have my opinion, you know what I'm saying? I will explain more about it. But I did look up on Quora.com to see what it means, and a lot of people did break it down about it and how to build an arc and all this and that or whatever. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? And this is mostly targeted for black people. I'm not necessarily saying any other group. I know white people got their superheroes, Superman, Batman, whatever. But I'm talking about real life superheroes, you know what I'm saying? Like Obama, let's see, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all the prominent black leaders, you know what I'm saying? So, and then I'll talk about this a little bit later on Wind Down Wednesday, but we ain't gotta talk about this today. My main thing is like, when I ask that question, I'm like, why do us as black people, as a black community, always need heroes? And the reason why I want to ask this question specifically is because why are we dogging Deion Sanders for picking up the deal he did? All right, so we're gonna talk about Deion Sanders a little bit to get back to get the reason. So Deion Sanders he started off his coaching career. I don't think he started off there, but he did his college coaching career at Jackson State, at HBCU. You know what I'm saying? And I was watching Charleston White video. This is one thing I kind of disagree on with him with this though. You know what I'm saying? I agree with him on a lot of different shit, but this is one thing I disagree with him on. About him trying to kill his son and motherfuckers trying to go at him and all that shit. So, my thing is this. And I watched the whole little snippet and what Sean made that motherfucker snippet like 30 minutes and him truly explaining it. But this is my thing. Deion Sanders, when he went to Jackson State, he laid the whole blueprint down. He gave them a locker room, a practice field, and he fixed the field within the stadium. Mind you, they already had a stadium. They just need to fix the field, fix the facilities up, refresh it, all this shit. So 3 years go by, he don't see none of the ticket sales. He spent $300,000 of his own money. So basically, he's paying to coach these kids at the HBCU, for one. For two, he doesn't see none of the ticket sales that his contract clearly stated. That's two. Three, the president and the what is it? Not the president and who else? All the board members of the school are not directly talking to him or telling him or even talking to the students about their experience with Dion and him being there and paying his due diligence. They taking in all the money and just fucking this shit off and pocketing this shit for them. You know what I'm saying? That's 3. And 4, that whole time, the whole 3 years Dion was there, Dion addressed one major issue that he had with the whole student, the whole board members, and that was student housing. You know what I'm saying? Specifically for the black that was applying to, not even just the blacks, the students that was applying to Jackson State. Why is our housing so bad? He didn't target it specifically about the football thing. You know what I'm saying? He did in a way. He did for his football community, but then at the end of the day, he realized, oh, this is bigger than what I am. I'm putting on for everybody else, so I'm gonna make it a larger issue. Why is our dorms for all of our students so shitty? Because on Twitter, you can go on it, and it's still on there to this day. Jackson students from back in the day, because I knew some of them closer, you know what I'm saying? One of my partners is graduating from that shit, bro. So he told me firsthand how that shit was. And he was a media crew for Dion when Dion was there, bro. So, traveling with him, all that shit. So, he told me firsthand. I knew firsthand how that shit was. So, I'm telling you this, like, you know what I'm saying? So, and me coming from HBCU, I mean this out of love. Dion was only exposing the truth that every student was already exposing on Twitter. Go on Twitter, Howard, Xavier, Jackson State, well, I don't know if Prairie View so much, but FAMU, Texas Southern, all these different HBCUs was getting exposed across the board. That wasn't nothing new, you know what I'm saying? Dion only did nothing but spotlight that shit and make it a broader issue amongst the thing. Once Dion left JSU, what immediately popped off on Black Twitter? HBCU Howard, bro. Howard dorms having more. This dorm having this motherfucking problem. This dorm having this problem. We moved up, but we ain't got nowhere to go. This problem, you know what I'm saying? And it just started to have a snowball effect. But then once you go back to the root of the money and where it was getting sent to from the alumni, from all these different people, you know what I'm saying? And you wonder why people don't want to go to your school and why you've been in a state of decline, is because why would somebody want to continue going to a school that doesn't reinvest back into their students? This is why I'm not mad at Dion going and taking $50 million from a PWI versus just sticking with a $1 million deal for 4 years from an HBCU. It's the principle of the underlying thing. I brung $20 million to the whole city. The city respected me before the even HBCU ever did. You know what I'm saying? When Jackson had that whole crisis, Dion he took the whole football students out there and they went out and helped and served the whole Jackson community. Why ain't no other HBCUs doing that shit in other different cities, bro? And I'm gonna speak from my school specifically, Xavier. 75% of the students was women, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just keep it a buck. Our ratio was 27-1 when I first got in my freshman year. This was about 3 years ago. So why isn't, if they having issues, why in majority of the issues, why ain't they also out there stepping on the front lines supporting their own communities? And this is where the disconnect is between man and female. I don't want to make it that thing, but eventually you have to back to, a lot of people don't want to reinvest into their community. It's a lot of men that want to, but a lot of men don't want to too. And that's the main thing. We don't have enough male leaders, enough male black leaders that want to reinvest into the community for the women to want to pick up and like, yeah, if my man is gonna reinvest into it, I want to reinvest into it too. It's not enough men reinvesting into HBCU communities as much as women is reinvesting into the HBCU communities. You know what I'm saying? That's the disconnect between the black community. The number one thing is unity. Unity is not amongst our community. You know what I'm saying? That's the major thing that's holding black people back. That's the major thing that's holding black people that's not holding themselves accountable for being a part of this unity or being a part of this community. So you can't be mad at Deion Sanders laying out the blueprint, setting everything up, telling the president and everything new, and they do the complete opposite, take money out from these students, and you can't be nothing but be proud of him going on and taking a better contract and building a better computer, a bigger, stronger community. You know what I'm saying? You can't be mad at that. I don't give a fuck if he was doing that shit. If he stayed at HBCU, if he stayed at Jackson, let's just say he stayed at Jackson for a couple more years, built that whole thing up, they still would never gave him the respect he deserved, for one. Two, they never would have gave that man what he owed. And three, a lot of people still would never poured into HBCUs, regardless of the fact of how you feel about that. That's just the community of black people, period. You know what I'm saying? Unity is not number one. Unity is at most at the end. People only unite for what? Car shows, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to doing crime. And what's the other thing? Oh, when it's man versus woman. That's the only time people unite. You know what I'm saying? Because it stirs up emotions. People feed off emotions. You know what I'm saying? That's just natural. Humans feed off emotions. So for people to talk down on Dion and what he wants to do, any man would have took that thing. Any woman would have took that same position. So, like I said, I'm not mad at Charles the White for stating the obvious, but at the ending of the day, the main thing he's not pointing out is the unity, the community. He set the blueprint. How come Jackson State didn't take that blueprint and was like, all right, cool. Well, if this black coach don't want to hold on to, we're going to take this black coach and all these other black coaches, set this unity up, y'all run the program and let this shit fly. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. That's the whole undermining thing of everybody. Yeah, Lil Wayne going out to Colorado, and if he didn't go to Jackson State, that's not the point. The point is that they gonna go out there regardless of the fact, because those people are gonna pay to put those people on those stages. Our HBCUs are not gonna pay to put these people on these platforms, these stages, and let these people be vocal about the programs and what we got going on at these schools. It's just not gonna happen. And it's been like that for years. It's all about a money grab. My motherfucking president was an African from across the fucking seas. The motherfucker wasn't even African American. So, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these people that's in these HBCUs are not even African American at that, so they can't even relate to the same struggle. My teachers, I had Indian teachers. I had white teachers. I had no teacher that looked just like me, talked just like me, or felt just like me. I had no teachers, none. The only teacher I had was in sociology and psychology. Why? The only teachers I had like that was in business. Why? The only teachers I had like that were everybody else that wasn't scientists, that wasn't philosophers, that wasn't this, that wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? My English teacher was a whole Hispanic. How is a Hispanic gonna teach me English? And her native language is in Spanish. This is the reason why the black community continues to suffer the way it does. It doesn't take no accountability for one. Two, unity is non-fucking existent. And three, nobody holds each other accountable. Everybody holds each other accountable for being hood rats and drug dealers and all that shit, but don't nobody hold each other accountable for being pharmacists, scientists, surgeons. Nobody does that shit. You got a doctor degree in the black community, that's chunk. They don't do shit. But you be a all-time drug dealer, been to prison twice, served 3 life sentences and made it out on parole and been acquitted of all your charges, you looked at as a fucking hero. Why is that the case? So, at the end of the day, like I said, I agree with a lot of points that Charles White makes, but at the end of the day, this was not one of them points that didn't make no sense. I get that he's going around, you know what I'm saying, giving back to the black community. I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And Dion, he making $50 million, but him pointing out the point to where he don't make $50 million, $100 million without doing shit for the white boys. We all know that. But why are you trying to plaster another black man for that? I get you plaster everybody else, but if you want to create unity, you can't plaster somebody for doing some shit for following the money when that's what you taught. If that's what you taught, that's all you know, you're not gonna fix your community. So instead of talking like this, instead of talking like that, just be like, hey brother, step aside, have a conversation with him. What made you step away from these HBCUs? Why he ain't had that conversation instead of just shitting on them automatically, saying, I hope his son get hurt. I hope this happens. I hope this and that happens. But he talked about, he said he wasn't even into football or whatever, or sports, but he named up all sports legends that was black. That's my only gripe I have with him. Sometimes a lot of his shit sounds contradicting, And it's like, can't be like that. How come you never sat aside and had a conversation? I'm like, hey man, like I see you doing all these things for this PWI. What happened at Jackson State? How come you ain't asked him about what happened with HBCU funds? How come you asked him about what happened to what he did put on in a small town of Jackson that was majority black? How come you ain't asked him about that and what was going on now and how he tried to better their infrastructure and this and that? And you see how they did him and this and that and how they didn't even want to respond. But you're not going to go talk to him. You're not going to go talk to the president and shit like that. That's the only thing. That's why I say, even as black people, you gotta go and talk to and have these tough conversations. Even if they're not willing to have these tough conversations, they're part of the same fuck ass system that's fucking you over. Everything is about a piece of paper these days. And once you realize that, then that's when you start to truly free yourself and having these tough conversations to be like, yeah, I know I'm trying to follow the money. I don't give a fuck about my people. And once people start really admitting their truths, then that's when you see who's gonna be down at the end and who's gonna ride to the sunset with you. Other than that, if you're not willing to have these conversations with the motherfuckers that's doing this dirt, you're not gonna, nothing is gonna get solved in this community. I'm gonna just tell you that. Unity being non-existent, people will just continue to do what the fuck they do. So, at the end of the day, we should be like I said, Oprahs and who else? The Will Smiths, the Jay-Z's, all these Kanye West billionaires. Most of them niggas are billionaires now. And then being based off the net worth of they masters and all that shit versus they masters of their movies and all that shit and their residuals, these motherfuckers can become billionaires off the shit they did. How come they not reinvesting into their own communities? How come you not attacking these motherfuckers as a part of these rituals and shit like that? How come you not attacking these motherfuckers that's bringing these kids and all this shit, underground tunnels and bringing them to this motherfucker Jefferson Island? How come you ain't asked them and talked to them and interrogated them about their connections with Jeffrey Epstein? You know what I'm saying? If you want to antagonize black folks, start at the top, because the top is what created the separation, not the bottom. You go to the bottom and you look in the neighborhood, everybody know everybody. Everybody look out for everybody. But you go to the top, who look out for who at the top? They look out who got the most money. They look out for that. You know what I'm saying? Who money gonna protect me? Oprah done made over millions of dollars off this whole tax thing with millions of acres with thousands of acres of land she owned in fucking Hawaii. And y'all not even talking about that. But y'all talking about Deion Sanders going to a PWI and winning all the goddamn time. That's fucking backwards, dog. So at the end of the day, if you want to antagonize black people, antagonize the motherfuckers that's sitting in these high seats and on their high horses and shit, dealing with these white folks and these Jews. Those are the main ones, the ones you need to be looking out for, because they don't give a fuck about their own community. They never did. Oprah bought millions of black people on her platform. What the fuck she did? Just shit on them. She shit on Dave Chappelle back in the day. Dave Chappelle was trying to tell her how it is in show bed. She shit on that nigga. She shit on all these black men that ever joined her show. But she go uplift Gail ass. She go uplift all these white motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? She been a part of this shit. Same thing with Will Smith. Will Smith, swear to God, Jada don't do shit wrong. But other motherfuckers call her out on her wrong being, oh, it's slappings all across the fucking thing, bro. Come on, dog. It's bigger than that. Jay-Z, Kanye West, some of the biggest icons in fashion and music. Not once have I seen Jay-Z come back and bring that same blueprint to the community and how he did it and got to where he was. Or even talked about it. So if you want to antagonize a motherfucker, go antagonize the motherfuckers that's sitting above you. Those are the people you need to be having your fights and fist fights and all that shit with. The motherfuckers below you don't got shit to do with that. That can support Deion Sanders all day long. Cause if I seen Deion Sanders, shit, I could do that same shit. If I was a football player with my NIA deal, I got hurt, I'm like, damn, I could have been the next J-Mo. Jameson Williams, you know what I'm saying, that played for Detroit. A motherfucker looked at him like, I could be the next receiver. I could be cracking shit on fucking special teams, they get hurt real bad to where being an athlete ain't in their future. Well, shit, I could be the next Nick Saban. I could be better than Deion Sanders. I can learn all these white schemes and flip it and bring it to my black coach schemes and see how that work for us. Bring the intensity to them. You know what I'm saying? Not only Nick Saban, Urban Meyer. You know what I'm saying? They made black talent exponential to the point to where they send them motherfuckers to the NFL. How come we can't do that same shit for our own people? So, yes, me seeing Deion Sanders in the high center, he using them, and my eyes, I'm like, yeah, go ahead and use that PWI system. Let me learn that system. You get that shit back to me. You know what I'm saying? He can send it to the black coaches back at JSUs. Yeah, this is what we doing. These are our schemes. This is all that shit. He do all that shit. That's gonna bring nothing but happiness. I'm like, oh shit, if Deion can do it, I can do it here at this HBCU. I can do it at this black high school. So at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, look up to your idols, keep doing what y'all doing, but the main disconnect, unity, accountability, and responsibility. Those are the top 3 things that we need all in this black community to bring in true unity. Attack them motherfuckers in them high seats and them high horses. They got the funds to do the shit y'all want to do. Don't attack the people that's down here that's fighting the system and being a part of the system, because that's just natural and that's all they know. Don't fight them. Fight the motherfuckers that know the system, being a part of the system, and playing the system, and playing their own people. Just as simple as that. Become your own corporation, become your own bank. You know what I'm saying? This is what we got to do over here. So I'm going to do a little recap of all this shit next week. I know because some stuff been up, but I'm like, I know this video been a little long enough, but I'm going to go ahead and leave y'all out of here. You know what I'm saying? It's 1:30 in the morning. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get y'all out of here. Y'all have a good one. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one, you know, you feel me? Same song of the week, same music of the week. I'm just go ahead and play it out for y'all. And then I'm going to catch y'all in the next one.